if you knew you were enough? What would your life look like? What would love look like? This is the Enough Factor broadcast, where we're redefining what makes you enough in life and in love. Now here's your host, Suzette. Hello everybody, it's your life coach and relationship solutionist Suzette Vernon, and welcome to my Enough Factor podcast. Each week we bring you content that will amplify what I've identified as 3 critical factors of your enoughness: your voice, your value, and your vision. For I have found that when those are working in tandem and they've been maximized, that you have a better experience of love and of life. If you're new, just to let you know a little bit about me, I'm your relationship solutionist, and I help high-achieving women redefine what makes them enough on their own terms so that they can break the cycle of failed relationships and attract great love into their lives. Today I want to talk about something, and I think it was really inspired by Star Trek. Yes, you know I'm a Trekkie. If you've been around me for any amount of time, you know I am a Trekkie. I love all things Star Trek. And my latest not so guilty pleasure has been Strange New Worlds. Well, last night was the finale. And they asked a question that I've seen asked one other time, and that was in the whole series called What If in the Marvel Universe, where they look at what if the heroes had made other decisions. How would that have affected the outcome? Well, this final episode with Strange New Worlds was nothing short of the same thing. Got me to thinking about some what ifs. And I want to pose those what ifs to you, especially if you are over 40 years old. You realize that you're not as young as you used to be. You also realize that putting things off is not in your favor, because with every day you live, you realize that you're getting closer to the end of your life. At least that's the way it's been for me. When I crossed over into my 60s, it became very clear to me that I don't have the same amount of time that I had, that I don't have the same amount of time to get things right. I don't have the same amount of time to resolve issues, that whatever I'm going to do, I need to get to doing it, right? Because time is not on my side. So you can't put off for tomorrow what you can do today, because you don't know if you will see tomorrow. And that's the thing about getting older. I don't think it's so much that you become preoccupied with death. I think you become preoccupied with life, because you realize that it is precious and that you don't have time to waste. So for those of you who are under the sound of my voice and you realize that you want to spend your time living, not regretting having not lived, then I think this episode will really speak to you. So I'm going to ask you some what if questions. And let me preface by saying I am not looking at regret. Instead, I want you to look at the only thing that you have any control over, and the only thing at play in this moment, and that's your now. So I'm going to ask you some now questions. right? And these questions are going to be about your love life. Here we go. What if you do nothing about your love life? What if things stay the same? What if you keep going about life and love in the same way? What if you keep making the same decisions? What if you do life the same way and bring the same you with you? Yeah, that. Because regardless to what you can even imagine for yourself, you've got to bring you with you. Now, which you are you going to bring? Are you going to bring the you that made the decisions that have resulted in your love life being where it is today? Or are you going to make a different decision so that you can have a different outcome than where you are today? Now, that's a very, very serious question. If you're over 40, it's pretty clear that your relationship life and where you are currently in your relationship didn't just happen by circumstance. It wasn't just something that you fell into or something that just happened to you. You made some very resolute decisions that resulted in where you are. I remember writing an article a few years ago saying, your life is perfect. And I'm sure if you were to hear the title alone, you would give me some pushback and say, wait a minute, no, my life isn't perfect. How can you say that my life is perfect? The reason I say your life is perfect is you made the perfect decisions that have resulted in where you are today. You didn't just stumble into it. You didn't just fall into it. You made the perfect decisions that have resulted in the perfect outcome based on those decisions. Now that is the bad news, but it's also the good news. The good news is if you could make the perfect decisions that have resulted in the perfection of the outcome, meaning that the outcome is exactly what one would expect from the decisions that you've made. So by that standard, the outcome is perfect. Okay? The good news is if you can make the perfect decisions to bring you to where you are, you can make the perfect decisions toward the life that you really want to have. In other words, if you change your decisions, you can get a different outcome. Now, if you're over 40 and you don't like where you are relationship-wise, you don't like who you're with, you don't like that you're alone, you don't like going on trips by yourself, you don't like the solitary lifestyle, the loveless, the manless lifestyle that has been the perfect outcome of decisions that you've made, then you know that something needs to change, right? Instead of doing nothing about your love life, what if you did something about it? And what if that something was from an informed place, meaning you know what it is you didn't know before. You have tools that you didn't have before. You understand yourself in a way you couldn't before. You understood men in a way that you never have before. If you had those things, wouldn't that increase the likelihood that you would have the experience of love that you want to have? Right? Because if you've been doing a lot of the wrong things that have brought you to where you are, then you can do a lot of the right things and take you to where you want to be. Right? And that's the good news. Sadly, however, I think the whole as you get older, you get stuck in your ways. I used to think it meant that, no, you can't teach me anything new, or that my mind is so regimented. It has calcified to the point that I can't do anything new. I can't produce anything new, that I am not competent in that way anymore. But I'm going to tell you what I've learned about this whole being stuck. What I've learned is it's not so much that the person can't be taught. It's all the years they have practiced a certain way of thinking and a certain way of going about life. And it's become so familiar to them that their neural pathways in their brain automatically defer to that because that's the road most taken. That's the way I've always done it. That's what I've always thought. And it's going to minimize the evidence to the contrary. Because I'm going to tell you what's the contrary. The contrary is, but you don't want to be alone, right? The contrary is, but you don't like being stuck in a cycle of failed relationships. The contrary is, you are tired of attracting the same old, same old. The contrary is, but you want to experience love on your terms. So you've got enough that's contrary to the same old, same old. The problem is, however, is even though you've got something that says, I don't want what I've been having, your brain don't want to cooperate because it's had many, 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 many years of supporting the pathway you've been taking. And even if it has not given you what you want, you have a lot of years going in that direction. So your mindset, your brain is regimented toward what's familiar. I'm inviting you to do something different because your brain can be retrained. Your brain can learn something new. You don't have to remain stuck in your way because you have something wonderful. You have a will. You have a will that if you hone that willpower and focus it on something different, focus it on what it is you really, really want, guess what? You can retrain your brain to cooperate with what you really, really want. But it's your choice. Does it come easy? No, it doesn't. But have you had a chance to sit down with your current situation? To sit down with the aspects of your love life that you wish were different? to sit down with the realization that you're not getting younger and you don't have as much time as you had before I'll just see what happens? No, you're at an age now where you need to be more intentional, where you need to really sit down and say, listen, this trial and error way of dating, this trial and error way of relating, this falling in love type of situation where you know he's not the right one for you, but you can't help yourself. That way of doing it, that way of, you know what, we were walking along just fine, and next thing I knew, we slipped into a situationship. We slipped into this complicated. That old way might have, and I'll say very loosely, worked when you were younger. And I say loosely because we know it didn't even work when you were younger. But you thought you had more time. You thought you had time to play around. You thought you had time to get it wrong, then to get it right. You thought you had more time. But this relationship thing kicked you in the butt because time has not been your friend. All time has managed to do is cause you to recycle the same mindset, the same relationship habits, the same ideologies, the same things that have kept you landing in a place you don't want to be. I had someone tell me not too long ago when I asked them about them being stuck. They said, well, I wouldn't say I'm stuck. But the more we talked about their love lives, yeah, they are stuck. Stuck in complacency. Stuck sitting in their room, in their house, wanting something better, but not doing anything about it. Stuck in their fears and insecurities. Stuck. My point of this is, wherever you are in your life right now relationally, it is the sum total of all the decisions you made that brought you that outcome. If you want a different outcome, you can have it. But you can't just think your way into it because we've already made the point. Your brain is already wired to go in one direction. Have you ever been driving a car that needed a front end alignment? You're driving and you hold on to the wheel. But have you noticed that when you loosen up or you take your hand off the wheel, the car just keeps wanting to go in that toward that left or toward that right? That no matter how smooth the terrain is, instead of that car moving straight, it invariably keeps wanting to go off to the side. Why? Because it's out of alignment. If you are in a relationship situation that you don't want to be in, you're out of alignment with your truth, with what you truly want. You're out of alignment. You're using your power in the wrong direction. You're using your mental capabilities in the wrong direction. You're not moving them in alignment with who you are and what would complement you. Why? Because you don't know what you don't know. And you don't know how to recognize men who would appreciate the real you. In other words, the real you hasn't shown up yet. You still got the real you down in the dungeon because somebody told you that she's at fault. She can't be trusted. She's the reason you're in the predicament you're in. She's what's complicating your life. She's a liability, not an asset. But can I submit to you? She holds the key. She holds the key to the change that you want in your life. But you need a front end alignment. You need someone that understands relationships and understands how to navigate you, first of all, to your authentic truth, and how to help you to hone that authentic truth in your relationships, and to hone that authentic truth in helping you to recognize your Mr. Right. If you could do it on your own, you would have done it by now. I'm here to help you to hone the greatest power that you've been given. And you know what that greatest power is? I call it your superpower. It's you. You're the gift, but you don't know it yet. And even if you think you know, usually us high-achieving women have been taught that our real gift is our ability to work. It's our ability to create. It's our ability to do. It's our ability to perform. And while all those things are fantastic, how many of you know that you can pedal hard and fast on a stationary bike? Work up a sweat on a stationary bike. But guess what? At the end of the day, you're still in the very same place. You're in the very same place. So, what if you did something about your love life? What if things didn't stay the same because you didn't stay the same? What if you stopped going along the same way? What if you changed your vantage point? What if you did love differently? How would that change your experience of love? My name is Suzette and I'm your relationship solutionist. And I want you to know this. You are worthy. You're worth it. You are more than enough. Bye. You have just listened to the Enough Factor podcast with your host, Suzette Vernon. To get notified of new episodes or to dig deeper into today's topic, become a subscriber. And while you're at it, tell us how we're doing and what topics you're interested in. We appreciate your feedback and your reviews. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are worth it, you are enough.